everybody. Yeah. Stand up and sing with us.
Reach out, spread a little love around. Reach out, spread a little love around. If you want to make a difference in this world, there's just one thing to do. You gotta reach out and spread a little love around. Oh yeah. Reach out, spread a little peace and joy. Reach out, spread a little peace and joy. If you want to make a difference in this world, there's just one thing to do. You gotta reach out and spread a little peace and joy. Oh yeah. Reach out, sing a little harmony. Reach out, sing a little harmony. If you want to make a difference in this world, there's just one thing to do. You gotta reach out and sing a little harmony. Oh yeah. Reach out, spread a little peace and joy. Oh yeah. Reach out, spread a little love around. Oh yeah. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If we can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If we can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If we can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. I know we can.
Good morning. If you haven't noticed, it's Multi-Generational Sunday. Woo! All right, I've got Cullen up here who's going to help us with some announcements before we get this party started.
No, this is not a party. Get serious.
And remember,
And please silence your cell phones.
that's a really good serious thing. So what's our first announcement?
Christmas Eve service tomorrow, 7 p.m.
Christmas Eve is tomorrow?
Yes.
And everyone, we've got our end of year burning bowl service. That's kind of a burning bowl service. I know what Reverend Denise does every week now. Burning bowl service, December 30th, 11 a.m., as well as lunch bunch, Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. in the Namaste Cafe. Creating a World That Works for All by Sharif Abdullah, and no class on December 26th. How about we get everybody up here to sing again? Sound like a plan? All right, it's a party. Let's go.
I will walk it, I will talk it, I I will be love every day. I will live it, I will give it all along the way. If we want the world to see the love that lives in you and me, we gotta walk it, talk it, live it, give it every day. Talk talks, walk talks, but walk talks louder than talk talks. Talk talks, walk talks, but walk talks louder than talk talks. I will walk it, I will talk it, I will be love every day. I will live it, I will give it all along the way. If we want the world to see the love that lives in you and me, we gotta walk it, talk it, live it, give it every day. Walk it, talk it, live it, give it every day. Walk it, talk it, live it, give it every day. Woo!
All right. We've got a few more of our fabulous youth ready to help us with some more announcements. Bree?
Wednesday Eve class beginning January 9th, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, facilitated by Reverend Denise.
Hey, don't forget to sign up for the Dobson Chapel Food Pantry on January 12th, 9 a.m. through 11 a.m. Sign-up sheet is on the bulletin board.
Absolutely.
Friday, January 4th, 6 to 10 p.m., and Saturday, January 5th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Advanced Shamanism with Janice Mickle in the Sanctuary, working with the helping spirits.
Wonderful.
Beginning January 8th, Beliefs 101 with Becky Astorita from 7 to 9 p.m., a 5-week program that teaches how to recognize between conscious and subconscious beliefs and how to identify what subconscious beliefs are manifesting in your life and the process of clearing them.
Wow, big stuff. And last but certainly not least, January 13th will be our World Cafe. So join us. I think we're going to have lunch, and we'll come together to share ideas about this amazing spiritual community. Thank you. Great job, guys. And now we have our sacred reading.
This is the last Sunday of Advent, and we are standing in the vibration of joy. The affirmation for today is, I will let my Christ light shine by being a messenger of joy. Now everybody repeat after me. I let my light shine by being a messenger of joy.
Unity's founder, Charles Fillmore, tells us that joy is the happiness of God expressed through humankind. Because I am God's living expression, joy is my birthright, part of my nature. The revealing word also reminds us that gladness gives us strength, primarily when we focus on spiritual things.
I am an open channel of God's love, joy, and peace when family and friends are gathered. This is a time of joy and love and peace, of caring and compassion, of opening my mind, my heart, my very soul to the divine presence.
Joy is a divinely inspired attitude that I take with me into the experience of life. I share my attitude with everyone I meet as the divine happiness in me recognizes itself in them. I let my Christ light shine by being a messenger of joy. And from Nehemiah 8:10, the joy of the Lord is my strength.
We are messengers of joy. 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 We are messengers of joy.
So I just ask that you settle back in your seats. We're going to begin with a reset breath. So just exhale. And then just begin allowing your breath to come in slowly and easily. And then let's do one more reset. Exhale. And as you allow your breath to come in this time, just allow it to balance. I let my Christ light shine by being a messenger of joy. And so I ask my mind in this moment, what is joy to me? What does joy look like? What does joy sound like? And what does pure joy feel like in my life? When have I experienced pure joy? Joy is a divinely inspired attitude that is my choice. And it is my choice to take joy into every experience because it is my birthright. It's who I am. And so in this now moment, as we go into the silence, just open yourself. Joy. Just open yourself. Joy. In the silence. In the silence. I let my Christ light shine. By being a messenger of hope, I let my Christ light shine. By being a messenger of peace, I let my Christ light shine. By being a messenger of love, and I let my Christ light shine. By being a messenger of pure joy. In that way, I am holy, and only goodness comes from me. So if the words to that affirmation make you struggle, I am holy, only goodness comes from me, then that's your work with the Christmas story. Because know that the Christmas story, the birth of the Christ, the birth of the Christ child, is the birth of light coming back to the planet. Some of you might see this yellow candle that's up here. Last night we celebrated in the sanctuary the winter solstice, and we had several Aztec Native American dancers. And they talked to us about what this time of year is about for them. It's about the light coming back to the planet. And it was totally amazing. If you smell a little something, something in here, we didn't have a party, I promise. But they had incense, and before we left, it was pretty thick in here. But it was amazing to be here with them and to have conversations about how we are similar and how we are different, but we're sharing the same message. Because we are unity. And we do believe in oneness. And so there were several of us last night that came to that experience and got to experience that with a group of people who really couldn't even speak a whole lot of English. But it was totally amazing to get out of your comfort zone and to be in that whole process with them. It was awesome. Which leads me to what we've been doing here for the last few weeks, Advent. And I told you when I started this that those of you that grew up Catholic or Episcopal or high church, this probably gave you a little something to hold on to in the midst of our wildness here. Because Unity does practice Advent. But we practice it from a different perspective because it's not about that the Christ child brought this to the planet. It's about that it is for you to bring this to the planet now. Faith or hope, peace, love, and today, joy. So we're going to review the journey for just a moment that we've been on before we get to joy. Because what I want to share with you is most adults have the hardest time with that one. Hence why we have kids in here today. They don't have any problems with joy. In fact, they've been exuberant since early this morning. It was some of us older ones that had a hard time trying to rehearse and all of that. You know what I mean? I said, I feel like I'm back at Pennington Elementary School at the Christmas program rehearsal with 500 kids. It was like, woo! And you forget how joyous children are. What happened to it? Have you looked in the mirror lately? Did you smile or did you grimace? The first week of Advent is about faith. And it was about Mary having to believe that she was going to give birth to a child. For us, on the Unity journey, it's about us believing that the dreams and desires of our heart are going to be birthed here, now. The second week of Advent is about peace. That whole story was about Joseph. Remember, men, how many of you have had a pregnant wife before? How many of you had to take her on a 65-mile journey on a donkey? Probably not very many of you. He had to know how to hold peace in a moment when it was difficult. Can we do the same thing? There's a lot of chaos in our world. Lots. In fact, I want you all to be aware, if you haven't seen the news, that Indonesia had a really huge tsunami. As of this morning, there were 222 people dead, 800 injured. And I haven't looked since I've been here since about 9 o'clock this morning. But how do we hold peace in the midst of things being so chaotic in our world? Last week was about love. The story was about there was no room in the inn. The analogy is the inn is in your heart. So who or what out there in the world do you not have a place for in your heart? I just heard that from someone. Yeah. Sometimes I see things on the news and I go, how am I going to love that? How am I going to be peaceful in the middle of that? So before we continue, I'm going to ask Nikki to come and share a piece of music with us.
I have traveled many moonless nights, cold and weary, with a babe inside, and I wonder what I've done. Holy Father, you have send me now to carry your son. I am waiting in a silent prayer. I am frightened by the load I bear in a world as cold as stone. Must I walk this path alone? Be with me now. Be with me now. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Be forever near me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour over me your holiness, for you are holy. Breath of heaven. Do you wonder as you watch my face if a wiser one should take my place? But I offer all I am for the mercy of your plan. Help me be strong. Help me. Help me be strong. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Be forever near me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour over me your holiness, for you are holy. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Be forever near me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour over me your holiness, for you are holy. Breath of heaven, ooh. Breath of heaven, breath of heaven.
And I ask you not to clap, just stay in that. And before we move to the joy piece, what is it in your life right now that is in that place? That you need encouragement. You need to know that you have faith. You need to know that you can be peaceful in the midst of whatever's going on. It may be going on in your life on some level. It could be on in your family. It could be in your job. It could be with neighbors. It could be with anything. How do I hold the peace? And how do I be love in the midst? And so we're at joy. And that's the interesting jump for us as human beings. When we get past being about 12, 13, 14, I've watched it raising my own children and having degrees in developmental psychology. At some point, we get too grown to be happy. You know what I mean? Because I watch it with kids. It's like they're exuberant and they're excited, and then all of a sudden it's like, I've got to be an adult. I can't be joyful. Where did we get that idea that life is not fun? Some of you are looking at me like this. So before we move forward, I want you to have a conversation with somebody next to you. Why is it that as we get older, we can't just go, life is fun? Edwene Gaines, anytime she's ever been here, says life is a party. You came to the party planet. Enjoy yourself. And I watch people go, talk to someone beside you about where the joy goes when we get to be adults. So have you noticed that the level of joy has just gone up because you're sharing with people? So what I'm going to tell you is it also depends on what you share. Have you found that to be true? And I'm giving you a hint. Some of you are getting ready to go into Christmas family hoo-haws. Be very mindful of what you share. Sometimes I've found in my family, zipping it works wonders. Whoop. Just don't. But the other thing I want to share with you about children is that Marianne Williamson has an amazing quote. Children are happy because they don't have a file in their mind called all the things that could go wrong. The older we get, we have all those things. And it's like I have a hard time sometimes being honest and real with people, because then when I share something, then they're going, oh, dear God. I'm like, I don't need to hear that. But it's like all the things that could go wrong. And isn't it interesting? We want to share all that with everybody. Well, do you know what? When that happened to me, my right foot fell off. Do I need to know that? Or when my mother was in the hospital and she went through that, I mean, we thought she wasn't going to live. And the person's sitting there in the bed going, well, that's a fine howdy-do. Why are you sharing that with me? But we do that because we have a file that says all of these things are possible and they could go wrong. We could just as easily not think that. I'm going to say that again. We could just as easily not think that. Have you ever wondered how Santa Claus and God were all the same thing? I kind of figured that out, but I grew up in Church of Christ, and they didn't really do Christmas too much because it wasn't a positive thing. And, you know, we were told, well, we don't know if Jesus was born on the 24th or not, and so we don't celebrate or sing any Christmas carols or do any of that. But I had been told about God all my life, and it was not a pretty thing. It wasn't about a God that loved you. It was about a God that was going to get you all the time. And so as I got a little older, I thought, you know, it's interesting. That's the same thing you're telling me about Santa Claus. Because my mother would let me write down all the things that I would like. And then every time I did something for a whole month before Christmas that she didn't like, she would mark something off the list. She'd pull it out of the cabinet, and she'd mark something off. It's a wonder I ever got anything ever. Seriously. They made the list. Yes. I mean, I learned to make the list really, really long. And say, take off that thing way down there, because I don't really, really want that. But think about how close this is. He sees you when you're sleeping. You know, I was told God watched us all the time. All the time. That's a little daunting, isn't it? Did you ever do anything wrong when you were a teenager and then think, oh, dear God? Wonder who saw that. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. Oh, Lord. So we're going to try to shift some of that this morning. And we're going to talk about some Christmas memories. I have asked two people specifically to come and share some memories, and then our youth are going to share some memories. And so I think that little person might be Susie Wright.
There we go. Yeah, that actually is a little deceiving. I looked for pictures with everybody in the room, but it was impossible. This was a very rare quiet moment in our Christmas history. My Nana in the background feed my little brother, some adults off in the kitchen, but it was never like that, okay? My fondest Christmas memories were of the noise, the laughter, the talking, the sharing. It was just the laughter is what I keep hearing in my head when I think about Christmases when I was a kid. And the gratitude that we had for every present, regardless of what it was, from a pen to the thing that we wanted more than anything. Every present we opened, it was a celebration, and the adults and kids. And it was just, you know, that was Christmas to me. That was Christmas. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Susie. Who is that little guy? Come right on. Somebody hand him a microphone as he comes up here. Did you realize that was Matt? Look at that face and those eyes and that hair. Look at that hair.
You know, we came, we Catholic, so I love the Advent. But we had tradition in our family, and we grew up very, very poor. And the tradition was that our family from all over Minnesota would get together, and so that we could share together in the joy of Christmas as a family. And the first thing we would do as little children, that's me and my brother, with my great-grandfather, we'd go out into the woods and we'd find a Christmas tree every Christmas and cut the tree down together. And then we'd bring the tree home and decorate, and that's Mom with me, and you can't see the rest of the picture, but Mark is hanging garland. And then we'd go to Mass, and we'd go to the children's Mass. And that's me, and really the first girl I fell in love with, Mary Catherine Hicks, another very good Catholic name. And that's why I'm smiling, not because there's the Christ light and the joy. I think it's Mary Catherine Hicks. And then you can't really see this, but the Christmas Day, after we open the presents here, and I'm dancing with Santa and my aunts and uncles, we go sledding down the dike behind our house, behind the river, and a dike is a huge hill, for those of you not from Minnesota that know about dikes. So that was, and being here for, Laura was saying, we've been here for over a year and a half now, day in, day out at the church. It's been
you're
amazing.
here a lot.
I know, day in, day out. Really the joy, it was not about the gifts. It was about family. It was about sharing. And what I've come to realize with the service today and the whole year is that was the Christ light shining and the joy coming through. And I'll share one thing we did this week. We went to the jail, and we sat with 10 women who are addicted to drugs and serving long-term prison sentences. And we brought them cupcakes. We snuck those in. There's no one here from the jail, I hope.
We won't tell.
We brought them cupcakes. We brought them letters from home and little Christmas cards. And there was no place for us, so they snuck us into the cell, into those pods, and we sat on the floor, and we shared Christmas stories with them and gave them hope and joy about how maybe we can get them out, even though we're not their lawyers. We taught them how to write petitions to petition the court to get out, and they were so happy. And that's what it means, I think, to be the Christ light in us, to bring that joy to whoever we can.
Thank you, Matt. We're so glad you and Laura are both here. So guess what? It's y'all. Oops, that's the wrong, I'm not supposed to do that yet. Do you need another mic? It does not matter.
We're going to pass. Oh, you need wonderful. I knew. So I'm excited for our amazing youth to share some of their Christmas memories. Journey, how about you?
My favorite Christmas memory is going to my grandmother's Christmas Eve and opening presents early.
My favorite Christmas memory is playing games with my family.
My favorite memory is opening up those family fun games and playing games all day long, because that was long before Game Boy.
My favorite Christmas memory is getting this guitar.
My favorite Christmas memory is celebrating Christmas with my grandparents.
My favorite Christmas memory is opening gifts on Christmas Eve that were from my Nana.
My favorite Christmas memory is eating my drum kit.
My favorite Christmas memory is waking up on Christmas Day.
My favorite Christmas memory is being in my grandmother's kitchen with she and my sister making Christmas treats. Do you have a Christmas memory?
I think I do. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a very musical family. So when we decorated the Christmas tree, it was a really big deal. There was lots of music and lots of dancing. You mean like this?
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see, every couple tries to stop. Rocking around the Christmas tree, let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear Voices singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way.
Before we move forward, all the youth and all their teachers and everybody come up here, because you all have no idea how awesome this group of people are. And we want to say thank you for a whole year of multi-gen services. So come on up here. Whoosh, whoosh. Oh, yeah. So we're going to do a unity blessing for them, and some of you know what that is, and some of you don't, but everybody stand up. Are you ready? We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Now, you may not know this part. We love you, we really, really love you. Mwah! Woo! See, that's the adult thing where we're like, we have to do what? So when we get to joy, most of you probably think about the song Joy to the World that I can promise you you're going to hear in a little bit. But there's a place in it that says heaven and nature sing. And I'm going to tell you what that means in unity. Because heaven is about Christ consciousness. I don't want to scare anybody because I don't want anybody to think that we're a cult. But we don't believe there's a heaven out there somewhere that we're going to go to when we die. We believe heaven is right here. And it's inside of you, it's within you, is what the scriptures say, and it's also among all of us. And so we can either create it right here, right now, right in this moment, or not. And so the way you create heaven is to be love and joy and peace. And the way to create, guess what? Hell is to be something else other than love and joy and peace. Any of you created any hell before in your lives? Yeah. It's because either you or the person you were playing with at the time were creating something other than love and joy and peace. And it's like, if that is the case, if I walk into a room and it doesn't feel like love and joy and peace, then it is my responsibility to let heaven and nature sing. But what I do sometimes is go, what is the matter with her? She's being a tutor. Instead of being love and joy and peace. So what would happen if heaven and nature sang? We wouldn't be having issues with climate. We might not be having tsunamis. We might not be having some of the issues that we are having right now on our planet because we haven't taken care of her. When you don't take care of Mother Earth, things happen. And we have to deal with those things. So one of the things that we are told about this joy that we've experienced is that the kingdom of heaven is where? That's inside you. Unless you don't allow it to be inside you. It's a choice. I've walked into rooms before without it within me and skanked up the whole place. You ever been known to do that? Yeah. It's like it's within me when I'm willing to share it. Somebody read that out loud.
Unless you become as a little child, you will not inherit the kingdom of heaven.
What does that mean to you in this moment after you have seen these amazing children on the stage? That is what the scriptures say. But a lot of us adults, we don't read that scripture. We read other ones and we forget that the scriptures say we're not going to have heaven unless we act like little children. What would that be? What would that look like? Share with somebody next to you what is one thing you can do today to be a child. Go. You know, what I notice is that the smile factor went up. You know, we have a preconceived idea that when you come to church, you're supposed to be serious. Right? Except when you come here, right, Tim? But did some of you hear the scripture that Tim read at the end of the sacred reading? Anybody hear what that scripture was? Do you remember, Tim? The joy of the is, what does that mean? That means if I want to have the strength to get through whatever I have to get through today, I can be joyful and get through it easier. Can you understand that? Because if I go through it like this, it's not going to be fun. Become as a child. Now, what I want to share with you is some of you heard some of my story last week about a new baby being born in our family. It's been an interesting ride. We're still not totally out of the hospital yet, but we're getting there. He has drunk bottles, yay, that are mama's milk in those bottles. He's drinking them all at each feeding, so that's awesome. He's going to have a few more tests today. But I want to introduce to you Zachary Lee Hindle. And know that he knows what the kingdom of heaven is. When we're born into these physical bodies, we know. I've told everybody that talks to me at 2:53, he wakes me up every morning like clockwork. Granny, I need to talk to you. I mean, seriously, and some of you are going, she's crazy as a loon ball, but he pulls on my heart. And we have morning conversations. He's an amazing light. And he knows that the kingdom of heaven is within. And he knows where two or more are gathered. And so I have people asking me all week long, how's he doing? How's he doing? He's doing perfectly. Exactly the way he's supposed to be doing it. He had a bumpy ride coming into this body. If you had to do it again, you might have a bumpy ride coming into this body. Can you even imagine? I mean, I've gone back and thought, wonder what that was really like. Seems a little bit interesting, doesn't it? And he's come in at an interesting time in our world. And I know that he's come in for something important. So, I'm going to ask the choir to come up here and join me. And we are going to want you to help us with this too. It's going to be very simple. The only words you have to know are heaven is in my heart. That's it. Ook. I can't make it go forward, so maybe she can. Crystal, can you make that one go? We need that one to go. There it is. Gotcha. Singing it like this. Heaven is in my heart. Be a child. Stand up and be a child. And some of you are still looking at me like I just threw a turd in the punch bowl. This is about joy, not seriousness. Ready? We are the temple of the provide you a hug before you sit down. So it's time for our sacred walk of abundance. And if you have never been here before, you may not know what that means. But what that means is when we bring our tithes and offerings up here, there is a Sherry, show them where that bowl is. There's a bowl right there that has affirmations in it, and you choose one. And then any tithes and offerings go in this bowl, and everybody comes down that aisle and goes back up that aisle. And so before we give our tithes and offerings, we do this affirmation together. So say it with me. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life, and life gives back to me.
please. Come on, baby. One more for you, and that'll be the benediction. All right now. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. The next stop that we make, it's gonna be England. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. Don't you want to be on this train at the station? 'Cause we're gonna let it ride on through. Well, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train. Tell all your brothers over in Africa. Tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. Oh, please don't miss this train at the station. 'Cause I'm gonna be sorry for you. Well, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train. Hey, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train. Come on, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train.